Hello everybody, here we are today and we're going to be showing some love to the Winnipeg Jets, a team that has been able to have a really good start to the season. So before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So the Winnipeg Jets have been able to be a regular in the playoffs in recent memory since the 2017-18 season. They've been able to make it to the postseason 5 times, and there's been some highs and some lows, which last season kind of encapsulated that in the regular season and the playoffs, as well as they would have a really good run to where I think in January of last year they actually were first in the Central Division, and that was all fine and dandy until they had a little bit of a free fall towards the end. Calgary almost made the playoffs. Jets were able to beat them out for wildcard spots with a 95-point season. However, the show would still end in the first round against the Vegas Golden Knights, and after that you would see head coach Rick Bowness say that he was disgusted by some of the team performance in that first round exit against Vegas, which sparked a lot of tension between himself and the locker room. A lot of people said, how is this going to go? On top of that, you had Scheifele and Hellebuyck that were set to be free agents, and Pierre-Luc Dubois seemingly wanted out. That was a long time coming, considering he seemed dead set on Montreal for a while. And so I was one of multiple people that said going into this offseason, the Jets were going to be potentially headed for catastrophe. But here we are, and they are first overall in league standings at the moment with 58 points in 40 games played, on pace to have their best season in franchise history with 119 points if they continue to play this way. And their second best season was the 2017-18 campaign, where they finished with 114 points. Good season. Ironically, wasn't good enough to get them the division title, as Nashville finished with 117 points that year. But this is incredible for this Jets side that, 6-7 months ago looked like everything was going wrong. Now everything seems to be going right. So what has gone right for this team? Well, I would say that the Scheifele and Hellebuyck extensions have been good for them in the short term. Now, I was one of those people that said the long-term length of these deals could be an issue, but we're focused on the now with these contracts. And for Hellebuyck, he has a 21-6-3 record with a .923 save percentage and a goals against average of 2.20. Great numbers right there. And along the board, a lot of these things are either looking like they'll be career best for him in a season or just about career best. So a career year after having, again, this contract that was going to be an issue, would be great news for him. As for Scheifele, he was able to sign a matching 7-year deal, so that was good. And he's at a point where he is averaging almost a point per game, actually just over a point per game. So in the now, you're having two players that are having an impact for you, which is exactly what you want to do when you hand out long-term contracts, especially for guys that have been there for a while and been part of the success that this team has seen. And some young guys have played a factor in this as well, as you've seen Cole Perfetti, a guy that was a former 10th overall pick in the draft for the Jets, having a very good year. He's actually on pace for a 60-point season while averaging about 14 and a half minutes. So that is very, very good. That is something like Jared McCann would do a couple of years ago. And then you have Gabriel Velarde, who was part of the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. He actually has 18 points in 22 games played and is third on the team for standing points above replacement, which is just a fancy model, kind of like baseball's WAR model, where it says how much this player impacts the team and how much he's worth. So in 22 games, he has been the third most valuable in terms of SPAR, so that's good. And again, almost averaging a point per game is incredible. Actually has more points than Pierre-Luc Dubois at the moment, so I know that that's not one of those deals where you can say for sure the Jets have won the trade, as this is a very long-term deal. However, in the now, to have a young guy like that who is playing such a big role for your team is really cool to see. And to add a little bit more to just all these things going well, it seems like the team has moved on from Bowness's comments from the playoff exit against Vegas. So matching extensions for some key guys, two young guys playing well, and the locker room getting along with their coach. Things aren't too shabby there. On top of that, when Bowness ended up missing some time because his wife had a seizure, assistant coach or associate coach Scott Arneal ended up taking the team and making them go 9-2-2. So big thing right there to have that. And it was relatively early in the season, if I'm not mistaken. So one of those things that have guided the Jets off to a good start for the year. And on top of that, did I forget to mention that they're on a 7-game win streak? Yes, they are. And things are looking so good for this side, as they actually have a points cushion and a games played cushion over the Dallas Stars in the Colorado Avalanche. Two teams that I said would be above them in the regular season standings. Will this hold? I think that kind of remains to be seen, but this is just one of those deals where Winnipeg is looking really, really good right now. Defensively, things have looked great as well. Over their past 30 games, they've allowed 3 goals or less in all of those games, and over the past 18 games, they've just allowed 3 goals once. So something that is very, very good here. They actually have the lowest goals against per 60 in the league during this span. Kind of, complements what we've seen with Connor Hellebuyck and his incredible numbers, as he's kind of in the Vezina conversation. So maybe he could bring home the Vezina after getting a big contract. That would look lovely. And for this team, this is one of those deals where we saw that they were in a great spot last year, and around this time things were going well, and then things kind of flipped the switch a little bit. But I'm kind of arguing that if we see guys like Vilardi step up and see performances like we saw with Hellebuyck this year, that this version of the Jets may not win the division guaranteed, but is very well poised to stay top 3 within the division instead of falling to a wildcard spot. They could probably clean up a few things, special teams being one of those. The PK is not something that you would say is perfect heading into the playoffs, assuming that they make it. However, this is really what it comes down to for the Jets, is making the playoffs, which they look like they should do, and then making some noise in the playoffs. They have not made it to the second round since 2021 when they ended up sweeping the Oilers. Boy, that was crazy. And then they've not made it to the Western Conference Final since the 2018 playoffs where they lost to Vegas. That is the only time that we were able to see them make it to the conference final with this version of the Jets. And I'm hoping that this year can be a good year, because I was one of those people saying that Jets fans might need to, be prepared for some lows, but instead we're getting a lot of highs right now where they could win their first division title. They are just really looking like a team you really wouldn't want to play come playoff time if Hellebuyck gets hot, which we know, but is a side that could have some value going forward after this season. Will this all hold? I think it remains to be seen whether or not this will happen, because they do have a relatively high shooting percentage compared to their shots on goal. But we could probably do a deeper dive into that in a bit. But for right now, just really giving credit to this Winnipeg team that has been outperforming expectations much more than we expected them to do. And hopefully they can go on a tear like they did back in the 2017-18 season. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this Jets side? Do you think that there's something special brewing here come playoff time? Maybe a Stanley Cup Final appearance? That'd be kind of shocking. Maybe a Stanley Cup Final win? That'd be cool too. Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you go love hockey, alright. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.